Through this. Good evening, everyone. It is 6 PM, Monday, May 19th. This is a regular assembly meeting. Will the clerk call the meeting to order? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Jensen,
Here.
Member Stanton Gregor,
Here.
Member Schwartz,
Here.
Member Newman,
Here.
Member Marsh, Member Valentine,
Here.
Member Lynn.
Here. We have a full assembly this evening in the assembly chambers. It's now time for the voluntary pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, that moves us on to item 3 on tonight's agenda, approval of minutes. I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the May 5th, 2025 regular assembly meeting. So moved.
Second.
If there's no changes proposed, all those in favor of approving those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll move on to item 4, amendment and approval of the meeting agenda presented to us tonight. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented to us. Entertain a motion.
Second.
Motion been made by member Newman, seconded by member Lynn. All those in favor, say aye. Okay, we'll move forward as presented. Public hearings. We have a public hearing this evening, and it's for ordinance 2025-05. This is an ordinance for accepting the fiscal year 2026 budget. Any public testimony regarding ordinance 2025-05 should be given during this public hearing. A copy of this ordinance may be found under agenda item 14A. Is there anyone in the room that would like to speak to, during this public hearing? Okay, and then we'll just, go ahead, Robin, I think, yeah. State your name, who you represent, and we have a 5-minute time limit.
Okay, I can start over. Okay, for the record, I'm Robin Taylor. I'm the superintendent of the Petersburg School District. And I just wanted to publicly acknowledge and thank the borough for the support that they're putting forth towards the school district for this next fiscal year. As some may or may not have heard today, the governor did veto House Bill 57. And so we are, again, facing an uncertainty in the future. The House and Senate are meeting jointly tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, but we do at least appreciate knowing that there is a piece of fiscal security there to help support next year's funds. So thank you.
Thank you for your testimony this evening. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Please step forward, state your name and who you represent.
Down. My name is Ashley Kawashima, and I'm the president and a founding member of Humanity in Progress. And I just wanted to come here today and thank the Borough Assembly for their consideration and having us in the community services portion of the budget. With the cost of living going up for everyone in our community, it's really huge to see you guys, you know, kind of just invest in what we're doing to try and give back to the community, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony this evening. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak under this public hearing?
Hi, good evening. My name is Liz Bacom, and I am here as a member of the board for the Mountain View Food Services Meal Service Program. And I wanted to thank the Assembly for your support and putting us in the line item for $42,000 for our meal program. As you know, food prices are going up and funding from the federal government may be a little bit on shaky terms. So I did submit a letter and provided some menus, just because there's people in the community that may not know about our program. If you don't mind me reading the letter that I sent to you folks. The Mountain View Manor Food Service Meal Program is designed to encourage socialization of elders and others with qualifying needs. The pandemic took a big hit on our ability to meet in person, and returning to our original objective of socializing, we encourage folks to come to our dining room with friends and family for their meals. A significant and growing population of clients in our community who, due to mobility or transportation limitations, need to have meals delivered. Mountain View Food Service is the only senior food service program in Alaska that provides a dinner meal, and all others provide lunch. Survey responses from our clients have been positive, and they consistently prefer the evening meal. All meals are prepared from scratch in our kitchen located on the first floor of elderly housing. A copy of the May and June menus were provided for you folks to review, and a dietitian reviews our menus. Our program relies heavily on federal grants that are passed through the state of Alaska to administrate. More than half our funding is from this grant. A local financial grant from the Borough of Petersburg and capital equipment support rounds out our grant revenue. Petersburg Indian Association supports our primary driver and the vehicle used to deliver meals. Local contributions from the community and businesses include cash donations, seafood and meat processing, and fresh seafood and game. Our clients really appreciate local game and seafood, and all donated food items must be commercially processed. The state grant guidelines prevent us from charging for meals. 3/4 of our meals are provided at no charge to our clients. Our recommended donation for a meal is $7, and people who do not qualify as a client are asked to pay $10. Ongoing challenges include labor and food costs. Due to new state laws which go into effect soon, employees must be provided sick leave. While these benefits are certainly deserved by our staff, there will be increased payroll costs. In addition, all food is purchased locally. Due to increased food costs and accompanying shipping costs for groceries continue to grow, just like in our households. And just for some data, the average number of meals we serve are 1,027, and 95% of these meals are delivered, and the average price of preparing one meal is $15. Well, thank you for your time and your hard work.
Thank you for your testimony this evening. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak under the public hearing for the fiscal year 2026 budget? And I believe everybody that's zooming in is on the screen.
That's correct.
Okay, so the public hearing is now closed. Brings us to bid awards. There are no bid awards on the agenda this evening. And item 7, persons to be heard on items related to tonight's agenda. So is there anyone that would like to speak on items related that are on tonight's agenda? Now's your time. State your name and who you represent. Colin Lyons. We know who you
My
are.
name is Colin Lyons. I'm the grandson of Amy Hollingstead. Great leader of the Clinton Haida Nation, probably one of the greatest in the 19th century. And it's time for her recognition. She accomplished so many things you cannot count them for the people, not only the native, but for all of the minority. At the time here was the Japanese, Chinese, Filipinos that was treated so poorly. Even as recent as my mom's generation, they had to go to segregated schools. She changed that. How? She went to the school board and asked them, "Are you taking school tax out of my paychecks?" He says, "Well, yes, Amy, we are." So she says, therefore, my children are gonna go to your public school. Still at that time, segregated school was sitting where the museum is today. The rest of the natives in Alaska had to go to far away as Washington, Chamala Indian School, Wrangell Institute, Sitka, the Mount Edgecombe School. But when it was changed, she got it to where they had to accept them to go to the public school. There's a gentleman in the audience that was around at them times, Mr. Don Nelson. Could you say a couple words of how the natives or minority was treated when they got into the school?
Amy Hollingston was not only a wonderful person, she was a worker. She was a worker leader. She picked well known by all the politicians. In fact, some of them she had wrapped around her little finger, which helped a lot. All the politicians from the governor down loved Amy. Not only was she great for her people, and like Colin said, not only the natives, but any person of any color. And she was a fighter, but still she was a jovial, happy-go-lucky, very brown, and she was known all over. And but she packed a message, and she fought for the worker, she fought for the minorities, and everybody in my era knew Amy Hollingston. By the name Amy, they knew, even from the governor down, know who they were talking about when they said Amy.
Thank you, Donnie. But anyway, when they were first allowed into the school, they were forced to sit in the front rows. Forbidden, only could not even associate with the other classmates. Almost the same like when they're in the institutes, they couldn't speak their own language, go on their own beliefs and religions. She fought that. And she not only fought for these people, she got on the fisheries board. Even when it was still a territory of Alaska, through Washington, D.C., I remember seeing letters to her from President Eisenhower in 1963. She was the first to get the Russians, Japanese, Chinese, and such out of Alaskan waters, fisheries. Now, if any of you remember, you see all these big fish anchors around town? Well, they came from a company called Libby's. And they had these big commercial fish traps set in every major fish stream in Southeast Alaska. And through Congress, she lobbied and got them shut down because they were wiping out the industry. That's how much power she had. When anybody was running for anything in the state of Alaska, whether it be governors, senators, whatever, when they came to Petersburg, they just asked cab driver, bring me to the big house. They knew what she wanted. They would meet with my grandmother. They was hoping to get her favor him. I remember people like Egan, Mike Rebell, and such at her house. And if she did agree with wanting to vote for him, she would. But she'd tell her people, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm telling you who I'm voting for. That's how they got in, the native vote. It's for power. Now, I have trouble with short memory right at this time. I had brain surgery. But there's endless things that could be told about her. I grew up in a clinker tradition where you spent much time with your grandparents. I was fortunate enough to have both of them, my Lion side and Amy Hollingshead side. But the native side would teach you respect and to be you just gotta supply for yourself, gotta be self-efficient. The way I grew up. I could go on for hours, but I don't want to take up all your night. There's other people that want to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Lyons and Mr. Nelson, for your testimony. And if you'd like to speak, just state your name and who you represent, please. And you might want to pull the microphone up here a little bit taller than Colin.
Members of the Assembly, constituents here for this evening, my name is Sasha Ivan Sobolev. Some of you I played basketball against while we were in high school. I played for Juneau Douglas. We had good games. You won some, we won some, but I tell you, the Vikings were tough. I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak for some of the people who have worked in our organization. I'm currently the Alaska Native Brotherhood Grand President. We serve one-year terms, and I represent my compatriot here will smile when I say this. I represent 33,000 Alaska Natives. We have a lot of history together between the Alaska Native community and Petersburg. My educational career started in Cake in 1970, and I came through Petersburg a lot. Flew Island Air, and the guy that flew that place was a top-notch pilot. I'm here to share with you that our organizations individually have rubbed shoulders a lot. We have so much history that you can't find it in recordings, except in the memories of those of us who played these athletic sports and participated in governments. And for that, I am eternally grateful and honored to present on behalf of the Alaska Native Brotherhood our wholehearted support of what has been happening in this community. As you know, I participated in a wonderful parade yesterday in all its beauty and rain. But that's okay if you're from Southeastern. Since when does the rain ever stop what we're doing? But thank you. I appreciate for all the considerations that you have. We live in tumultuous times. I don't need to tell you that, but you, like us, we're still here. And thank you very much for having given me the opportunity to share a couple of pieces of history about what it is. And as we say in our country, goodness cheese, and how I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for your testimony this evening. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? If you talk loud, Cecilia, it might be okay, but can you make it to the microphone easy enough?
Order so. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Borough Assembly. I would like to say a few words. My name is Cecilia Tavalero. I grew up here in Petersburg, and I am a past Alaska Native Sisterhood Grand President, currently serving as Alaska Native Sisterhood Executive Committee Woman. Would like to thank the consideration that has been given to honor one of our heroes. We loved, I called her Grandma Amy growing up. I was just talking to Mr. Grand President Sasha that I used to love it when they would come to my mother's home and eat our native foods. And they would laugh and laugh to tears. And they were speaking in Tlingit and I didn't really understand it. But Grandma Amy looked at me and she said, "Sis, there's no bad words in Tlingit. It's just very descriptive." And I was like, oh. It left me wondering. I was a teenager. But she was an amazing leader. And I do remember hearing stories about Senator Ted Stevens going to her home. And if she wasn't feeling well, she would be in her bed and she'd be darning socks. And he would go up there and she'd ask him what he wanted. That's funny to me because it's supposed to be the other way around, right? But yeah, she was a strong leader and people respected her voice. And this is just another example of how America is going in the right direction, in that it's going to be good when we have, just as our Pledge of Allegiance says, liberty and justice for all. So I want to thank you guys for the consideration of honoring her, and I really am proud of Petersburg for this honor for her, and it reflects on the people. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Is there anyone else in the audience that has views related to tonight's agenda? Now is the time to come forward and state them. Okay, I see no interest anymore, so we'll move on to item 8, persons to be heard unrelated to tonight's agenda. And I believe we have one person zooming in, Elaine Vince. You have a 5-minute time limit. Would you like to address the assembly?
Yes, I'm here with my husband, actually, Thomas, who has been in touch with this subject for the past couple weeks. So I would like for him to speak.
Hello, yes, I'm Thomas Vince, and we own a vacant, unimproved lot about 10 miles outside of the city limits. We missed our opportunity to appeal this, but so we just wanted to bring it to the board's attention. I've sent some paperwork in with significantly lower assessments and sale prices. Our property was increased $128,500, which is roughly 135% increase. The paperwork in front of you will show that the increases were roughly like 5% to 15% overall. They're all comparable properties, equivalent to ours, waterfront properties, utilities available, road frontage. Very, very similar. We just wanted to bring it to your attention again because of the fact we were unable to appeal this. We missed that. Also, we need to develop our lot, and we'd have to put a driveway and building pads and septic, which would even bring the pricing up, probably more than the increase of the $128,500, which would really put the price on that lot excessive. We have been in contact with the assessor, and he's going to work with us over the summer, and he's seen our discrepancies, and we're hoping we can resolve it with him, so we can lower, to a reasonable figure. We have the paperwork that clearly shows the lower assessments in the area and the sales as well. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention, and hopefully, if you have any comments on that or any questions, I welcome them, but I think Elaine would like to ask a question.
Yeah, I think I was just wondering, I'm not sure who this would be forwarded to, but just to kind of say for now, would it be possible to just freeze our current 2024 tax bill until the assessors had time to revisit this? He did say he was going to work on it over the summer with us and revisit it, and he is looking into it. So instead of us paying this increase that will be significantly higher, I was wondering if we could maybe just freeze what we have today, pay the 2024 amount until the end of this new review comes to us this summer.
Well, answer that question, in my opinion, we've gone through the assessment process. The forms were mailed to the property owners. And you did state when you first started your testimony that you realized you missed the deadline. So I don't think that the assembly has the authority at this time to go back and revisit this assessment as the Board of Equalization. We do that annually at one time. I hope you have luck working with the assessor, and all of the assembly has received the packet that you sent with the maps and your testimony and the dollar values, and hopefully you could get this rectified, but I don't think the assembly has the authority to change it at this time. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you. We just wanted to make sure that if we do move forward, that it wasn't a surprise for the next year. We've never had anything like this happen. So thank you for your time, and
Appreciate
we look
it.
forward to it. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you for your testimony, and yeah, we have your information. So are there any other people in the audience or zooming in that have items that are unrelated to tonight's agenda? Seeing none, no one zooming in?
There's no one.
On the screen. Okay, we'll move forward. Item 9 on tonight's agenda, boards, commission, and committee reports. There are none.
Hang on, Mayor, it looks like we do have Nicole Hollingstad on the line. Nicole, if you can unmute yourself.
Yes, I can. And
So,
I will be quite brief.
Is this related to items on the agenda, Nicole? I'm assuming it might be about Amy, so we will back up. Go ahead, and if you would make it brief, that would be great.
Thank you so much, and thank you for allowing me to speak. I understand it's so easy to miss folks on Zoom. My name is Nicole Chakla Hollingstad. I'm the granddaughter of Amy Hollingstad, and I simply want to say Ganesh Chish to this assembly and to my beloved hometown of Petersburg. From the bottom of my heart for this recognition. Petersburg is my home. It always has been, it always will be. I maintain residence there. I see my brother in attendance, and I just am so pleased that Amy's legacy is being remembered and carried forward by those who not only knew her, but continue her work. And I thank you, Mayor Jensen, for this proclamation. I thank this assembly for the recognition of her tremendous hard work. And I appreciate so much that you circled back to allow me to speak. Ganesh Chish.
Thank you for your testimony. I'm glad we recognized you on the screen. So I see a Jay Slavin. Are you zooming in to testify, Mr. Slavin? I assume it's a Mr.
No, I don't think he is.
I guess not.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so we'll move on. Now we're on item 10, consent agenda. There's one item under the consent agenda this evening. The Elks Lodge has applied with the Alcohol and Marijuana Control Office, AMCO, AMCO for abbreviation, to renew their club alcohol license. AMCO has determined the application to be complete. A local governing body may protest the renewal within 60 days of the notice of filing the application. I'd entertain a motion to approve the Elks Lodge Club license request.
Second.
Motion been made by member, Stan Gregor, seconded by member Schwartz. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Brings us to report of other officers. Is the mayor's report is first on the list. Little Norway Celebration 2025. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce and the Little Norway Festival Planning Committee for another fun-filled celebration. Well done. And I'm glad you got a couple of nice days of weather out of it for us. High school graduation. Congratulations to the class of 2025 who will be graduating next week on May 27th. We'd like to recognize the incredible achievements of these young individuals and wish them the best in the next chapter of their lives. And as we've talked about a little bit this evening and had people speak to, I would have a mayor's proclamation to declare June 28th as Amy Hollingstead Day. Whereas Amy Hollingstead was a courageous and visionary leader whose lifelong dedication advanced civil rights, social justice, and equality for Alaska Native peoples, and whereas she fought tirelessly to desegregate schools and public facilities in Alaska, ensuring that Native children could attend public schools and receive equal education, and whereas Amy Hollingstead advocated vigorously for equal pay for women, improved health care for Alaska Natives, and fair employment practices in canneries and other industries. And whereas she courageously removed discriminatory signs such as "No Natives Allowed" and organized boycotts to challenge segregation and discrimination. And whereas, as the leader of the Alaska Native Sisterhood, serving multiple terms as Grand President, she was a vital bridge between Native communities and policymakers, influencing key reforms and land claims movements. And whereas her sharp wit, unwavering self-assurance, and steadfast commitment earned her the honorary title First Lady for the First People, inspiring generations to continue the fight for justice and equality. And whereas Amy Hollingstead's legacy of advocacy, courage, and leadership remains a beacon of hope and empowerment for Alaska Native peoples and all who value human rights. Therefore, I, Mark Jensen, Mayor of the Petersburg Borough, on behalf of the community, do hereby honor and express our deepest appreciation for Amy Hollingstead's enduring contributions to civil rights, Native sovereignty, and social justice in Alaska. In recognition of her profound impact as a civil rights pioneer and advocate for Alaska Native peoples, I hereby declare that June 28th will be observed annually as Amy Hollingstead Day, and it's got the borough seal and my signature on it. So. Thank you. Okay, all right, well, we're gonna move on with the agenda. It might end up being fairly lengthy this evening, so, but thank you for bringing this forward. Okay, we have no written manager's report. Does the manager have anything he would like to report on?
Just thank you to everyone involved in Mayfest. It was a great festival. Rain got in the way a little bit, but I think everybody had a really good time and no problems. So just thank you for everyone having a really good time and not causing any trouble. So great. Thanks.
Okay, that brings us to item 14, unfinished business. There's one item there today, and it's ordinance 2025-05. This is an ordinance of the Petersburg Borough adopting the budget for the fiscal year, July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. This is the second reading. The Assembly will consider the second reading of ordinance 2025-05, which will set the borough budget for fiscal year 2026. A copy of this budget can be found at proposed fiscal year 26 budget.pdf. So I would entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2025-05 in its second reading.
So move.
Motion been made by member Newman, seconded by member Lynn. Discussion. Member Newman.
I move to amend the budget to make an appropriation of $1 million from the harbor reserves for purposes of a contribution to the dock facility project to be conducted by American Cruise Lines at the Petersburg Harbor, and to direct the manager to contact American Cruise Lines to explore whether there is common ground on the proposed facility, including the possibility of developing a design aligned with concept number 7. If the parties are in agreement, the manager is to return to the assembly with a proposed financial plan and timeline. No funds may be spent under this appropriation without the assembly's approval of a written agreement.
Is there a second to this motion for amendment?
Second.
Member Marsh seconded the motion. Before we vote on this amendment, since there is a substantial amount of money involved, I thought I would bring it to the Assembly's attention that under ordinance, under our code, rather, 3.08.090, and we all have a copy of it in front of us. Assembly members shall publicly disclose their substantial financial interest. No member of the assembly may participate in any official action in which the assembly member or any member of the assembly member's household has a substantial financial interest unless after disclosure of the interest, the member's participation is approved in a public meeting by the majority of the borough. So I'm just suggesting if any assembly members have any substantial financial interest in this, they offer to recuse themselves, and not, we will just move forward with further discussion. Discussion. Member Stan Gregor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Member Newman, for bringing this forward, this amendment. I've spoken about it some in the past, but maybe for those listening at home who have not heard me speak to it, I think this could be a great opportunity for a public-private partnership where both parties are interested in seeing a successful completion of it. Yeah, I hope this does pass in both now and it'll be before the assembly again if it does pass 2 weeks from now. So I'm glad it gives more public process that this amendment came out now as opposed to in the third reading. I like it from a transparency standpoint. So in short, I'll be voting for the amendment. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Member Lynn.
Thinking about this, when I was at Alaska Municipal League, I had a chance to talk with a number of assembly members that were from Sitka. And the discussion was around how they lost total control of their tourism industry over there. And it was an interesting conversation in thinking about this, and I thank you, Member Newman, for bringing that forward. And thinking about this, I think this is worth pursuing from the standpoint that I think we want to maintain control of what we have coming in to our community. And this gives us a way, I think it would give us a way, but we need to explore it some more. So I'll go for it, and I'm very much interested in allowing, and I think we're using the manager as a good idea to negotiate on this, and we'll see where it goes. Thank you.
Any other discussion by assembly members? Member Schwartz.
Well, we had a public in here talking about this quite a bit earlier this year. And I've gotten a lot of phone calls. People say, well, you talk to a lot of people. I said, well, a lot of people talk to me. I try to listen. I'd like to hear from Glow, if that's possible.
Do you have a specific question of the harbor?
Well, I just, it sounds like there's harbor funds being involved here, so wanted to get her input.
Harbor Master Wolin.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we have the funds to remain, I believe, at the table, keeping the design process working for the benefit of the harbor to be able to use this facility if and when it gets built. And so I think, that's an option for the assembly to consider using harbor funds as a portion. Can't afford, of course, the whole thing. Hoping it turns into an economic development project, but the $1 million would, I believe, keep us at the table in the design area. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion by assembly members? Member Marsh?
I know there, at the town hall meeting, there seemed to be, I don't believe that there was anyone in opposition to ACL, American Cruise Lines, coming to town on a regular basis and even perhaps using their own facility, which they want to construct. But I think without exception, everyone who spoke has said that we need to be in control. We need to maintain that oversight as far as what happens. So then in my mind, I'm thinking, well, what we have right now seems to be working, with them making their stops on a regular basis throughout the summer, as well as Nat Geo. Who knows, maybe we would get other cruise ships. So whereas it seems to be working, I think if we invested financially in this proposal, that we might maintain that rather than just a lease. They can do what they want. And for those who struggle with tourism, and I am one of them, because I want to keep that balance, the train has left the station. Petersburg has been discovered. We are a destination, and it's a place where a lot of people want to come to. So I think we jump aboard with a commitment, and I will vote in favor of this.
Any other discussion? Member Newman?
Yeah, this project benefits the community of Petersburg by relieving congestion on the Petro dock, the drive-down dock, sea float, and while establishing a collaborative relationship between the borough and American Cruise Lines, thereby providing economic opportunity for our members of, citizens of Petersburg. I feel like it's a win-win situation.
Any other input? Member Marsh?
I guess I do have one more. Member Newman triggered a comment that I had encountered by somebody earlier. Where's the financial benefit for American Cruise Lines? I'm all for companies making a profit. But I don't think they're doing this for convenience. So I hope they don't expand to the point that it becomes, oh, we coulda, shoulda, woulda done this to put constraints on them. But I would like to see where this goes with this proposal, with this motion.
Other input from assembly members? I have a few comments. I'm not opposed to American Cruise Lines coming to Petersburg and having a facility. I know during the town hall meeting that I asked for, there's a lot of people that, were in favor of it, as long as the community still had control, the borough still had control. The biggest hangup for me on supporting this right now is taking $1 million out of the Harbor Enterprise Fund that was put there by the ratepayers that pay mortgage in the harbor and have for decades, some of them, multiple decades. And we have a lot of infrastructure to take care of already. And we take this $1 million out of the Harbor Enterprise Fund. I mean, there's floats in the South Harbor made out of concrete that are falling apart. We just need to beware. We have a lot of infrastructure to take care of. And I guess we will see how this negotiation, this collaboration, whatever you want to call it, moves forward with American Cruise Lines. We still have a long ways to go. We own the facilities, so maybe it's a good idea we get involved, but I'm not in support of taking $1 million out of the Harbor Enterprise Fund. So on this amendment, if there's no other discussion, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Member Newman?
Yes.
Member Valentine?
Yes.
Member Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Jensen?
No.
Member Stanton Gregor?
Yes.
Member Lynn?
Yes.
Member Schwartz?
Yes.
Okay, we have a 6-1 vote. in favor with the mayor opposing. So that amendment is going to move forward into the third reading of the agenda at this point. So moving forward, are there any other proposed amendments to the fiscal year 2026 budget as presented to us?
No amendments, but since it is discussion, I just wanted to again recognize and thank the department staff, Jody in particular, and but really all of them for, in this very challenging financial time, bringing us a balanced budget. I know that wasn't easy. I won't pretend it was. Speaking with them and some of the department heads, I know it wasn't. Anytime you're talking about reductions to services, it's a challenge. And just know that I recognize the effort put in by you guys. Thank you.
Okay, with that, if there's no other comments, will the clerk call the roll?
Member Marsh,
Yes.
Mayor Jensen, thank you. Member Stanton Greger,
Yes.
Member Lynn,
Yes.
Member Schwartz,
Yes.
Member Valentine,
Yes.
Member Newman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the second reading of the fiscal year 2026 budget passes with a 6-1 vote, with the mayor voting no, and you probably understand the reason, but I don't need to explain myself. That brings us on to new business. And first item there is ordinance 2025-06, an ordinance amending section 4.28.130 of the Petersburg Municipal Code relating to the sales tax exemption for seniors to limit the exemption to low-income seniors and directing that the proposed amendment be submitted to the qualified voters of the borough. If approved in 3 readings, this ordinance will amend section 4.28.130 of the municipal code to limit the sales tax exemption to low-income seniors and directing that the proposed amendment be submitted to the qualified voters of the borough at this October's election. So this has to go before the public for a vote. So I'd entertain a motion to approve this ordinance.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made by Member Lynn, seconded by Member Valentine. Discussion. Member Valentine.
Thank you for putting this together. Can we have like a summary from Jody over to kind of, for anybody listening, to understand how to apply for this, you know, because it's going through the state in order to get that, and so that people can kind of know, and then maybe where they can find that information. Is it on our website or so on, so they can understand what, the whole process, I guess.
Sure.
Finance Director Tao.
Sure. So this senior exemption, currently right now, we have 477 senior exemption cards in Petersburg out. This would limit it to low-income seniors. And how did we determine how low is low income? If you can be approved for senior benefits through the state of Alaska, then you can get a card. Currently, 61 people in Petersburg get senior benefits through the state of Alaska. It's an application you can fill out online or print it out and mail it in. The income guidelines are in your packet. For the highest income would be an individual that makes less than $34,213, and for a married couple, $46,253. Currently, we're seeing about a lost income sales tax revenue of about $450,000 a year because of this exemption. When this exemption started in 1981, 6% of the population was senior citizens, and now it is 24%. Things have changed. We are seeing a funding shortage. And in order to fund the schools and things that have really upped their requests of funding because of state and other reasons, we need to do something besides just increase property tax. And, you know, we've talked about this for a long time now, and we tried last fall to change the sales tax cap and increase it to $5,000. That did not pass by 6 votes. So now we are trying this. It is time. I've probably heard about this the most from residents in the community. That's, you know, that says, you know, I don't really they don't really feel like a lot of the seniors perhaps should be exempt from sales tax. And that everyone should pay their fair share, especially since, you know, we are funding a lot of services that are very expensive. You know, our assisted living that started 20 years ago, that, I mean, we subsidize that, the taxpayers subsidize that for 23 people. We have, you know, increase of Mountain View Food Services. We have increase of EMS call-outs. In 1980, we had 61 call-outs or 62 call-outs for EMS. Last year, we had 244. So, and I can't, you know, can't prove that it's all because of elderly, obviously, but I'm sure there is a direct correlation between that. I mean, we're using more services and we need to, you know, find ways to pay for this. So this is a way that we're gonna try put it on the ballot and see what happens. So.
Okay, thanks for that explanation. Member Valentine.
A follow-up to that, so the senior benefits program through the state of Alaska, is there going to be a link on maybe on our website that maybe people can look and they can go and they can read that and go
Sure,
through
we
that
can do that.
application?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that they know. And is there, can you, I don't know if you do know, can you apply for that at any time, or is it more like there's a deadline by April 20th or 30th, or is there, do we know that, or they can just kind of?
The application's in our packet. I believe you can apply for it at any time.
Okay, so it would be beneficial to even our seniors now, for those who didn't know about the program.
Correct. Yeah, I have a feeling that if this is tied together and it's approved, that we'll have more people that, you know, apply for the senior benefits program. I think, you know, a lot of people just don't want to fill out more paperwork. I mean, it's not a lot. The senior benefit program isn't a lot of money, but it's something, and seniors could benefit from that as well.
Okay, thank you.
I just have a question for you. I'm in support of this. I'm just kind of curious, do we have a criteria for what determines a low-income senior?
Yeah, so, well, there's all these different stipulations, and it's in the application. It's, you know, it's an income limit. So, yeah, and you have to be a resident. There's of Alaska. And so the state of Alaska will do all of this vetting for us, you know, so we don't have to do that. So all we're going to have to do is see a letter from the senior that says, hey, I qualify for this. And then we can give them a card. I don't want my staff to have to look at people's tax returns or anything like that. This would be, yeah, simple.
Dan Gregor.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Through the more or less decade I've spent on the assembly, I've seen many things, proposals to go before the voters come before us, and I've never voted not to put something on the ballot. To quote a former colleague of mine, Nancy Strand, on a certain issue, she says, like, I am definitely not going to vote for this as a citizen, but as an assembly person, I'm going to vote for it today to put it on the ballot because the people should have a right to vote on it. That being said, I do support this one because this discussion has come up many times, and one of the themes I heard from members of the community were, I worry about the low-income seniors. It's going to hurt them the most, and this addresses it head on, so it seems logical, and I hope we vote to put it on the ballot and let the taxpayers decide what to do. Thanks.
Any other input on this first reading of this ordinance? We have two more, and the next 2 weeks from now, we'll have a public hearing as well. So a lot of times 4 more weeks to vet it. There's no other input. Will the clerk call the roll?
Member Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Jensen,
Yes.
Member Lynn,
Yes.
Member Stanton Gregor,
Yes.
Member Newman,
Yes.
Member Valentine, Member Marsh.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 2025-06 passes unanimously. That brings us to ordinance 2025-07. This is an ordinance updating chapter 14.16 of the municipal code entitled Electric Utility. If adopted in 3 readings, this ordinance will update the electric utility code and increase customer charges and electric rates. I'd entertain a motion to approve this ordinance in its first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made by Member Valentine, seconded by Member Lynn. Any discussion? Member Schwartz.
Well, it's gonna be tough, I think, I can't speak for everybody, but it's tough because of what Ashley was saying. you know, prices for everything are going up for everybody. And, when I first got on the Borough Assembly, a lot of people talked to me and said, yeah, it's getting tough to make it. Utilities have gone up, they've gone up, they've gone up. And I said, yeah. Yep, I know. So an extra few bucks here or there for me is not that big a deal. I'll just roll up my sleeves and go to work. But for some people on fixed income, it's gonna hit them a little harder. I just wanted to know that I know the borough pretty well, and we acknowledge that part with new regulations and new expectations and the cost of things going up. It's gotta get paid for somehow. And it's something I've wrestled with quite a bit. And, I don't know any other answer to raise the revenue to do this, but I value my water, my sewer, and my power. So, that being said, I'll turn it over to somebody else.
Anybody else have any input? Member Stanton Gregor.
I defer to Member Valentine. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I've recognized you first. Did you have your hand up?
I defer.
Yeah, okay. Member Valentine.
With this electricity motion to move it up, and I believe it was 4% from what I'm reading. Was this also, and this is directed towards the
Mr. Hagerman.
Carl
Utility
Hagerman,
Director,
okay,
is
yeah,
on the
he's
air.
not over here. Mr. Hagerman, if I remember right, this is moving away from the tiered system of electricity to a more flat rate overall for all, whether it be residential, harbor, small commercial, large commercial. It was getting away from the tiered system to just a flat rate. Is that correct there? Mr.
Yeah,
Hagerman?
that's correct. Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Yeah, that's correct. And through the mayor, this rate proposal does move us away from basically a sales model. We had a declining block rate in the electric utility that was in place because we had ample hydropower to sell. And these days, that isn't quite the same anymore. We have less. So we're moving towards a much simpler, one singular energy charge per kilowatt hour for each customer class. And that is more of a conservation rate. People know right up front what they're going to be paying for every kilowatt hour they use, and they can cut their power use and easily understand savings in their monthly bill. So that's one of the goals. And the other one was, of course, to generate a 4% increase to our revenue that we saw was needed through the rate study.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Member Stan Gregor.
Thank you.
This time.
Yep, no deferring this time. I got it. And I'm glad I did, because that was what Member Valentine asked when I had. Yeah, thank you for clarifying that, Carl. And also thank you for being on here. What are you, Central Time right now, 10 p.m. your time? Thanks for being available to us to have these questions answered.
You're very welcome.
Are you still there, Mr. Hagerman?
Yes, yes.
I have
You're
a
very welcome.
question for you on the customer charge for the regular customer charge is going up from I believe $10 to $16, and then the harbor user customer charge is going up from $10.50 to $20. Why the discrepancy? And there's a little bit more increase for the harbor users per kilowatt hour than there is for the residential. And I just wondered if there was a specific reason for that. Are we trying to upgrade things in the harbor in the electrical department, or is, do you have an explanation for that?
Well, Mr. Mayor, those great question. When you're setting rates, you try to be as fair as possible with a number of different factors that go into this. And in the rate study, we did try, as we mentioned in the presentation at the last meeting, to make sure that the energy that was consumed by each customer class was paid for by that customer class. And we are very close in every customer class to achieving that. We do spend quite a bit of time in the harbor performing maintenance down there on the system. We perform maintenance, throughout our system, but it does seem that we are in the harbor quite a bit. And so that is one reason that those charges went up a little higher in the harbor. And I'd just like to also say that the monthly base charge is going up probably a little bit more than what we normally would have recommended, but we're doing that because we, as I mentioned before, are moving to this conservation type of rate design, and we're not entirely sure that once we do that, we'll be able to achieve that 4% overall revenue increase. And so increasing that base charge helps us to stabilize the rates over this next year. And then we'll be able to use that, the rate design software to see how that all worked out and make adjustments next year to the rates once we know how our customers react to their consumption.
Yeah, I was having a little bit of a hard time hearing you. My one hearing aid died on me, but, so if I heard you right, you're raising the user rate for the customer charge in the harbors to help stabilize the rate for the all of the users? I mean, the residential in the harbor, or did I misunderstand? I probably misunderstood it.
No, I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear. That every base charge for every customer class is going up.
Okay.
In part to stabilize the rates for everyone.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you for that. Any other questions from the assembly members? Let me go back to the right page. Member Marsh.
In your letter, Mr. Hageman, in his letter, it's found in the packet, he talks about the electrification of so many things now in our lives. At what point do we reach a tipping point where the usage is going to be more than the rates, and we go into the red? That makes sense.
Through the mayor, that is a very, very hard question to answer. It's amazing how much electrical loads have grown, considering that the population in Southeast Alaska has been fairly static and stagnant for quite a while, many years, but our loads continue to increase, between 1% and 3% every year. And it is very hard to guess when that will top out. There's a constant or an ongoing push to make heating as efficient as possible, which means going from oil heat to heat pumps, which means more power is needed. It is a more efficient way to heat people's homes, and it will save people money to do that. But the distribution system in Petersburg is seeing loads grow. I'm not sure what the end of that is. As a utility, we need to make sure that we have adequate supply for our customers, and we make also associated with that is to make sure that we have adequate backup power if SEPA goes down for any reason. So there's a lot of moving parts to this, and I hope I answered your question.
Thank you. Yes.
Member Valentine.
Thank you. So as these rates are increasing and we're seeing that the monthly charge base is increasing, the rates are lowering a bit, but again, it all kind of, you guys have done your homework there. Is there maybe a resource that we can provide or something out there that can help people here in Petersburg know what are like what are the things in their households that are eating up the most amount of electricity that we are just not thinking of? Is it going to be our television? Maybe it's something that we can put out to help us as a community seeing these rates come up. Well, we can try to do our best in our own households to try to mitigate it ourselves a little bit. So is there something out there that maybe we can do? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you don't know off the top of your head, but maybe we can work on it in the future to get it out to the people here in Petersburg to help know, hey, this light in your bathroom is eating it up, or something like that. So if you happen to know, or maybe I can talk to you later about it to try to see if we can put something out there.
Yeah, through the mayor, Member Valentine, there's a tremendous amount of resource out there, and the utility can surely tap into that and put more information on the website, make it available to our customers, to make sure that they're aware of how they can conserve and save themselves some money.
Thank you.
Any other questions on ordinance 2025-07? Clerk, call the roll.
Member Stanton Greger,
Yes.
Member Lynn,
Yes.
Member Schwartz,
Yes.
Member Marsh,
Yes.
Member Valentine,
Yes.
Mayor Jensen,
Yes.
Member Newman,
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-07 passes unanimous with a 7-0 vote. That brings us to ordinance 2025-08, an ordinance updating chapter 14.04.420 of the municipal code entitled Water Rate Schedule Fees. If adopted in 3 readings, this ordinance will increase the water rates per the rate schedule in the attached table. An annual rate review indicates that these increases are needed to keep up with increased costs to the borough. I'd entertain a motion to approve the ordinance 2025-08 in its first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made by Member Stanton Greger, I believe, seconded by Member Marsh. Discussion. Call the roll.
Member Valentine,
Yes.
Member Newman,
Yes.
Member Stanton Greger,
Yes.
Member Lynn,
Yes.
Member Schwartz,
Yes.
Member Marsh,
Yes.
Mayor Jensen,
Yes. Ordinance 2025-08 also passes unanimously in its first reading. That brings us to ordinance 2025-09, an ordinance updating chapter 14.08.320 of the municipal code entitled Sewer Collection Rates. If adopted, this ordinance, like others, will raise the annual rate, but the review of the utility, it indicates these increases are needed to keep up with the increased costs to the borough. Entertain a motion to support ordinance 2025 in its first reading.
I'll move.
Second.
Motion been made by Member Marsh, seconded by Member Valentine. Discussion. None. Will the clerk call the roll?
Member Lynn,
Yes.
Member Stanton Greger,
Yes.
Mayor Jensen,
Yes.
Member Newman,
Yes.
Member Marsh,
Yes.
Member Schwartz,
Yes.
Member Valentine,
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 2025-09 passes unanimously as well. That brings us to ordinance 2025-10, an ordinance adding section N dash marine passenger ship refuge to chapter 14.12.140 entitled Rates for Refuge Collection. If adopted in 3 readings, this ordinance will add section N, marine passenger ship refuge, to allow for fees for providing sanitation services to marine passenger ships. I'd entertain a motion to approve this ordinance in its first reading.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made with a second. Discussion. Member Valentine.
Thank you. With the way it's written, a flat rate of $800 will apply for basically any time they head down to the cruise ship. I completely agree with that. Does this also account for the ever-changing world of inflation? Do we know, Director? Mr.
through the
Cotta?
mayor.
Do you have a response?
Like, will it continue to grow with kind of the trending world, I guess?
Yeah, through the mayor. Yeah, we did not build in any inflationary adjustments to that rate. A lot of our fixed rates, we just adjust once every few years. And really, this cruise ship rate was more an effort to make sure we were fully capturing our costs and simplifying things a little bit too, just for ease of billing. There's a lot of different cruise ships and different services that coordinate with them. And so when we looked at our numbers for the past few years, we realized we were not recovering our whole cost for the service. And so we put in this flat rate. I anticipate that it would probably get adjusted periodically, but we don't have anything built in at this point to to provide for those adjustments. Just this one time, establishing this part of the code, and then we'd look at it in the future as we look at the rest of the sanitation rates as a whole.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this ordinance? So I have a question for Mr. Cotta. How was the garbage collected off the ships before? Did we get it? We just charged them a lesser fee? Or did they use the dumpsters? Or just curious what was in place beforehand?
Yeah, it's basically the same process, but we didn't really have a mechanism for charging them for all of the extra time that it involves to coordinate the equipment time to go, sit at the, the dock, and because we have to try to be there at the same time they are, but a lot of times we end up sitting there for a little bit waiting for them, or it takes longer than we thought. So we tried to capture all those additional costs with this rate. Previous to now, we were collecting the same way, but we were only charging for the cost of the garbage itself.
Okay, all right, thank you for that explanation. Any other input on ordinance 2025-10? If not, clerk, please call the roll.
Member Newman,
Yes.
Member Valentine,
Yes.
Member Marsh,
Yes.
Mayor Jensen,
Yes.
Member Stanton Greger,
Yes.
Member Lynn,
Yes.
Member Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to, I believe, of the resolution, item F, 2025-10 is also the number, but it's a resolution approving the lease of a borough parcel described as Lot 4A, Block 222, Skylark 2 subdivision, plat number 90-14, parcel ID number 01-010-737 to Nordic Real Estate LLC. If approved, this resolution authorizes the lease of this parcel by lease agreement to Nordic Real Estate LLC, subject to all terms and conditions set forth in this resolution and in the lease agreement attached hereto as Exhibit A. I'd entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved.
Second. Motion's been made by Member Stanton Greger, seconded by Member Newman. Any discussion? Member Marsh?
So regarding the last meeting's approval of this lease, now, if I understand correctly, the lease has now been negotiated and these are the details. Is that correct?
Yes, the clerk is nodding her head yes, so the
Yes.
answer is yes.
That is correct. Yes. So last meeting, the assembly approved that the lease agreement be drawn up, which was done and shared with the lessee by our attorney. And the result is in the packet. And the resolution accepts, if the assembly approves the resolution, then the resolution approves the lease and we can proceed.
Great, thanks for that clarification.
Any other discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Member Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Jensen,
Yes.
Member Lynn,
Yes.
Member Stanton Greger,
Yes.
Member Newman,
Yes.
Member Valentine,
Yes.
Member Marsh.
Yes.
Okay, resolution 2025-10 passes unanimously. Item 16, communications. We have communications listed on our agenda that we've received since May 1st, 2025. They're available for the public to read. We do not read them at the meeting. So they're available for the public. Item 17, assembly discussion items. Are there any assembly members that have comments this evening? Member Marsh?
Yes, I would like to thank you, Mayor Jensen, and those who worked with you to make June 28th Amy Hollingstead Day. I did a little homework and found what I discovered that she was a remarkable woman in character and wit, and the long-term improvements that she did for the Alaska Native community and people of all people. So I think that's commendable. Thank you.
Any other comments, but from assembly members? Any assembly members or staff have recognitions? Member Stan Gregor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a brief recognition. A staff member at the school district I worked with years ago and had the pleasure of working with again last year, Ms. Barb Marifern is retiring at the end of this year. And for those of you who know Barb, she is a truly wonderful human who tries very hard at everything she does, puts all of her effort in, and she's good fun to boot. So thank you so much for your time in the district. So many families are lucky to have met you and work with you. And for those at home, in case you see Barb Marifern in the next couple of weeks, please pass on your congratulations on her retirement. Thanks.
For that recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to recognize the folks who helped out last week with Safe Boating Week, specifically Parks and Rec and Stephanie Payne. Thank you for helping gear up the community for safe recreational boating. And I'd also like to recognize that this week is also Emergency Medical Services Week. So thank you to our EMS volunteers who help serve the community and fill a need.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hankins. Member Valentine.
I'd like to echo for Miss Barb Marifern, love her, thank you. And then also recognize everybody who helped for Mayfest. Of course, Mayfest is like our thing. We really like it. Stephanie Payne, Kelly Slavin, Amber Burrell, all the committees that are involved, Chamber of Commerce, everybody. And it was a very fun weekend. The weather held out for the second day, which is where we saw everybody. It was awesome. So, and it takes a lot of work. I'm part of the chamber. It takes a lot of work to coordinate all that, and I'm just happy that it went well. It didn't seem like anybody was upset aside from the weather. But again, thank you guys so much. It was a great weekend, and it's really a good kickoff to the summer. So again, thank you.
May I ask our chief to do a recognition for your visitors this weekend that helped us out?
Yeah, I want to thank Wrangell Police Department. They approached us with an idea of swapping some officers. So they offered to send 2 over. And so we had 2 Wrangell PD officers over assisting here from Mayfest. And then since we get a whole bunch of Petersburg residents leaving during the 4th of July and going over to Wrangell, we're actually going to be sending 2 officers over there for the 4th of July to repay the favor, because that's their busy time with the boat races and everything else they have going on. So we've worked very well with them, with their new chief, and so we're building on this relationship with them and hoping to keep this thing going. And since other chiefs have heard about our discussions, they're asking how they can get involved too. So we might have to cut it off at some point, but keep it going with Wrangell.
Okay, sounds good. See how it works out. Any other recognitions? We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Never get a vote on that. 7-0, we're adjourned at 7, whatever it is, 17.
Thanks, Jim.